Hello, everybody. We are just getting set up here. I'm going to go ahead and put that over there. So this is welcome to our first, maybe our second live. It's episode 2, but this is the first purely live session of Just Endeavoring for Equality. And my name is Ryan Harris. And again, welcome to J.E.F.E, Just Endeavoring for Equality. We're getting the technology right between our iPads, our computer here. So appreciate you being here with us live. And we do this weekly at 1-2-3-4 p.m. Pacific time, 12:34 Pacific time, every Sunday. And so again, why are we doing this? Why now? You heard a little bit of the preview from episode 1. With Hamilton's Uprisings, the incredible Broadway musical show. So written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he did start to finish just every single thing from R&B to rap, and invite you to check it out. And again, subscribe down below for this channel, but also check out the first episode that we did here for a full recap of just how mind-blowing that Hamilton Broadway play turned movie, Disney Plus, all the different streaming services, you can get it there. And then the other reason why we are here, what we are doing today, and what we're doing every week is we are bringing to you the live recordings of me as a heterosexual white male. I have the privilege of not having to think about race or equality, sexism, ageism, all those different things on a given day. Unlike my brothers and sisters, no matter what your race, religion might be. So I figured I'd start off the week just describing some, or just sharing some of my passions in hopes of it reaching somebody, and per the Rise Up with Busta Rhymes and Lin-Manuel Miranda, just rising us up to be better people, be more accommodating for our neighbors, being a better person in the world, and so looking not to take anything away from anybody, and that is the power of the law of increase, the law of attraction, law of abundance, these life laws. You do not have to take anything from anybody. There is no competition. There is only what you create. We'll unpack those further in some other videos here. But the other thing that we're going to really focus on, and I invite you throughout these weeks to keep me honest. If there's a term where if there's a something to the effect of I'm not bringing the positivity, I'm not bringing my finest hour, that is my intention, is to be perfectly poised for you and be perfectly poised for me for my finest hour every single hour. And so this week, again, we're talking about the law of attraction, we're talking about the law of increase, and ultimately it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this week's episode is titled BLM, hashtag BLM. Obviously, that means much different things to different people. Primarily, it means the Black Lives Matter movement. And this week, again, being our first full week into October, actually the start of the second full week, we're talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month and how that can relate in your life, what they've done to do some incredible works over there with the research funds that they're doing to bring awareness, to make it less likely for any of our sisters out there, mothers, sisters, daughters, aunts, nieces, to ever have to go through that, and especially know that they're not alone. And the other thing that I invite you to do this week, and these videos live first, and then they'll be posted as videos. These are still working on, if there's going to be a a time format for now. It's just whatever feels right as the topic's been discussed in a good, energetic way. So just fully exploring a topic, and then just again invite you to apply this into your life. And so with this week again being Breast Cancer Awareness Month with October, um, the cancer research individual for this organization. I'm very intrigued about this specific organization because they've done some great things. I have some theories that I'll do, but again, the point before was that this series, Just Endeavoring for Equality, J.E.F.E for short, are going to be bringing you thought-provoking titles, thought-provoking content that, again, we want to provoke thoughts so that you think for yourself, and think on behalf of those people. You can also help me in helping all of us create a equal world out there. So the point for the breast cancer research, for example, one of the lesser known statistics is that this is one of, if not the most supported, most funded, most the biggest causes that people actually donate to. They support. There's a whole month dedicated to this. Obviously, a lot of people are wearing the pink ribbons, and again, as we go into this content and as we adapt and how this might apply to, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement, that is to keep us all in mind that this is not to take anything away from either movement. This is more so, look, how can we apply these to equality in that sense, or even some of the tips and tricks to evoke more heart-centered giving out of other causes. It doesn't have to be just medical research. It can be some charitable fund, other way. But again, getting back to the breast cancer organization, they have found a very secret, or not a secret, but they found a very sweet spot where, look, they've been able to literally pull at the heartstrings. So there is, again, it's one of the most well-funded, well-supported organizations out there, endeavors out there, especially for cancer research. And proportionately, typically breast cancer is actually one of the least amount of people who actually get it contracted. So of the other types of cancer, for example, there are other ones that are. I'm not saying anyone is worse or better, or that's not the point here. Just truly see the point is that how you gain support for what you are trying to do in this world is, again, the breast cancer awareness folks have really locked in on a very special thing. And one of the things that hit me, again, everybody's going to have their own experience, but what hits me is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And caring is what it is all about. And this organization has really lived what they teach there. And one of the things that I'm reminded of is, like, look, it's very easy for one of us, especially males, with daughters, sisters, mothers, aunts, grandmas, granddaughters out there, that we never want to see anybody struggling out there. I've had some very close friends of mine go through breast cancer, and it's not fun. So it's not saying that this is anything to do or taking anything away from anybody's struggle. This is simply saying, look, somehow we as a society have tapped into a lot more compassion when it comes to this cause. And I'm just gonna rotate here every so often. Okay, I'm just making sure that we're still live, and I'll do that from time to time. Um, and again, nobody wants to see that anybody's suffering, but especially from this cause and from this case, where there's there's something that I think spans everybody. Everybody's got a mom. Many people have sisters. Many have many significant women in their lives where they they found a way to generate compassion for those women. However, when it comes to some of the other people that we should equally hold compassion to, it's maybe not us having the awareness of why it does matter. Why, again, by us helping other races, religions, sexes, um, genders, all the different. I'm gonna be general here. This is equality for everybody. So why this really matters is because if we can find a way to hold compassion for every one of us, we can do a lot more things in this world, and a lot we can rise up. We can be a better society, and somehow again, it's my personal belief up until now that there's been a scarcity mindset that, hey, if some other sex is doing better than me in the workforce, or if some other race is doing better than me, then that's taking away something from me. When in fact it's completely the opposite. And we all need to do a better job of getting out of that scarcity mindset. And so the again, I'll give you a couple examples with Aaron Brockovich, for example, is a very incredible movie where there's when I think somebody going through breast cancer, I picture there's a woman in the movie that was portrayed that had drank some water in the movie that was making her kids sick, was making the whole town sick, and because of that, she had to have both of her breasts removed. And whenever I'm going back to that place, and I invite you to trigger that compassion, trigger that emotion of compassion there for somebody that you care about, whether it's your sister, your daughter, your mother, your grandma. Um, what what I see is, women are battling to be mothers, in this case especially, and in the scene where Aaron Brockovich is talking to one of the townspeople that again did have breast cancer. She had to have both breasts removed. She's questioning herself to see, hey, am I still a real woman? Like I'm not able to have kids right now. I'm not any longer. I'm not having the ability, like I'm not physically showing the typical things of the mammary glands and everything like that. So there's a physical representation that is no longer there of what was, by some people's qualifications, a complete woman. And then it goes on further to say if she was no longer able to have children, her natural internal that you couldn't just tell by looking at her. Um, there's a different sense of we typically may have an easier time connecting with that, whereas even I'll say testicular cancer, we don't see as comparable. So if it was just dealing with men or women, or the ability to participate in the giving birth process, or having kids, having children, there's something there, because we don't give the same attention to testicular cancer. And again, that's not to say anything about what the testicular cancer people are doing. This is more so applauding all the wonderful lives that the breast cancer awareness support and endeavors are doing. And now, the other point of this, again, I'll share with you a little bit further, as I did with the intro video to this series, about why now, why it's important to me, why this is important to me. And here's something that I would invite you to dig in deep, or hopefully it doesn't have to be that deep, but why should equality be something that you care about? And so the same type of scene that I go to in my heart of hearts with that Aaron Brockovich scene that evokes that compassion emotion out of me, um, it goes to my um, Black brothers and sisters, especially with the Black Lives Matter. And I grew up in Chicago, a very segregated area, and I was telling you before, actually, I've continued to hold on to these notes, these urban sociology notes from fall of 2004, and it's just that class was such an impact to me, and it's obviously impacted me to this day. So I've moved to a couple countries since moving out to Vegas originally after college, and this is of the things that I've shed, released, donated. These are some of the things that I found. Hey, I need to keep this. There's something here, and I think this Just Endeavoring series is part of the why. It's not all of this, but I do appreciate my professor Harvey Marshall back then, and in one class he described how racism came to be, especially in the United States and European society, and he did it in one lecture in less than 50 minutes. I'm not going to say I was like woke or anything like that, because I was already something. I was already endeavoring along these ways, just trying to find out how I can serve the world, how I can use my voice to help out. And one thing it's that pulls at my string. He goes on to describe it. Maybe I'll get into it today if we have the time. But what it really comes down to is, if you think of the Black Lives Matter moment. Look, there's been different attempts all throughout history. I actually just came back from the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. Incredible experience if you guys get to ever go out there. And there's there's a section dedicated to the actual bus that Rosa Parks took her stand. She rose up by not rising up and kept her seat, and just completely applaud her bravery. And I'll let you guys research that story for your own there. But the thing about it is we got to a point in society where, kudos to our Black brothers and sisters who were not going to take this anymore, and they did peaceful punishment, I'll say, by some of the most punishing things is people tell you what their interests are by where they spend their money. So after Rosa Parks was arrested for doing this, when enough was enough for her, they did a 381-day bus boycott that completely broke the economy, making it so that no government could afford to serve anybody in the community without that significant Black representation. And hopefully that doesn't have to come to this. Hopefully we can all just peacefully endeavor towards equality. And so again, there's been Black Panther movements, there's been violence on both sides, all sides. But the point of all of that is, even to the point where the Black Lives Matter comes around, this was simply a awareness exercise. And obviously there's some people in all groups, Black Lives Matter included, where may have gone a little bit more militant, or some of their membership, some of their supporters might have taken things a little bit too far in violence. Though again, I can point to many cases in all races that that same thing happened. So the beautiful thing I loved about the word matters is actually contained in a Michael Che, who is one of the anchors on Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update. Michael Che with Colin Jost. And he has a Netflix comedy special called Matters. And in that, he's like, look, we're not even trying to say that anybody's lives matter more than us. You know, it'd be like, hey, it'd be like me titling this video, breast lives don't matter. If people, breast cancer doesn't matter. Again, I am not saying that. I'm going to reiterate, this is purely an example of how ludicrous some of that stuff can be. If we're saying, look, we can't even agree on the word matters is the point that Michael Che makes in his comedy special. It is such a non-threatening word. We're not trying to say, hey, give us some of your power, give us some of your equality, give us some of that white privilege. No, it's simply, can we just start at a foundation that Black lives matter? Like they matter. They exist. They care. Like they're worth something. That was the whole thing. And again, different groups took it different far, different places on both sides. Because again, they use some groups used the law of non-resistance. So they didn't use the law where they were putting up resistance to something that didn't need to be resisted. This was just saying, look, you guys matter too, and so do we. That is the point out of all of that. And so the point of me bringing all of this up is to have all of us consider a little bit more compassion this week. You know, you don't know. I love actually Shannon Sharp on, I believe, the Undisputed Show said one of my favorite quotes out there is like, never judge a person by where they are because you do not know how far they've come. So you don't know what they're going up against. You don't know what they're having to live with on a daily basis. So if you did, my mentor Mary Morrissey, she loves to say, look, if you knew the whole story, and I think this might actually even be more Dalai Lama, if you knew the whole story, you would go immediately to compassion. And the invitation for all of us here is, how can we perhaps go right to being more inclusive, right to be right to knowing the full story, or right to compassion without, you know, going directly to compassion as our default without having to know everybody's full story. So there was a test of this for me even recently, where somebody I accidentally cut off in a parking lot was going pretty fast, and he seemed to be in a hurry because he definitely vocalized that through his through his windshield, and as I was also apologizing, and so I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna let that be. But anyways, the point of all this, bringing this in for a landing. So keeping in mind that again, a topic we might explore a little bit future episodes, but racism did not exist. It's not documented as existing before, you know, the India Indians, or the African American forms of slavery about 500 to 700 years ago. Yes, there was slavery, but it wasn't based on how you looked or where you were from or what country you were from. It was simply, you know, lower class of any color, creed, or race or religion were, you know, the religions were having slaves in their ranks. So the difference with what I want to have each of you hold some compassion this week, and anytime you might revisit this video, keep in mind that there have been several waves of different immigrants coming to America. My family, I believe I am a third generation on some standpoints, and a second in others. Actually, third in some, and then fourth or fifth in others. But I have actually been an immigrant to a different country. Also, my grandfather actually did immigrate for a time to Latin American countries. It's actually where my dad and my aunts were born. So this, as we look back to our Black brothers and sisters, the again, the Irish, the Welsh, obviously the British, the Spaniards, each of these different classes of immigrants from these different countries, from Asian countries, from um, all walks of life. Every one of those, for the most part, chose to had the choice to come to America, and they might not have had much of a choice because their home conditions were so bad, but nonetheless they had the choice of either getting on the boat, the plane, um, or staying with where they were at, um, and seeing how it went in the country where they grew up. But that was not the case for most people of color from Africa. I'm specifically talking about African Americans. This one, so they were forced because of one reason. The new world of America as Great Britain was colonizing America, and this is actually what my professor had said in one lecture. He had gone even how racism became a habit in some pockets of many pockets of the United States, but ultimately it started with a simple standpoint of racism stemmed from specifically a whole bunch of labor needed to um, harvest a lot of the cotton, a lot of the tobacco out of the United States, what's now become the United States, the original 13 colonies. And were they to do that, they couldn't afford to pay um, people decent salaries to go over there, to move countries. And there wasn't enough people who were white in the British Isles to be able to do that, or even some of the other European nations. So, so what they had to do, they had to go, and plus one of the other things that they said was, look, if it was in the economy, having something like that, if they were to enslave some of the people and force them to go within their economy, that would have completely thrown off the economy. So they literally needed uh, a group of immigrants or forced immigrants in this case to be outside the European financial system. And the only two options at that time were India, like I mentioned, and the one that they really went with in a big way was Africa. And so those people who were from Africa and brought to the United States, here's where I would really invite all of us. It doesn't matter how many years ago it was, when there's been this systemic inequality, this is an opportunity for all of us to hold a little bit more compassion for everybody. Somebody might be going through something unrelated to race or uh, sexism or inequality otherwise, but this is look. How can you introduce more? How can you be more compassionate there for your fellow man, your fellow woman? And again, once they were forced into immigration, it was at that point where they weren't forced to go to a vacation spot. They would say, "Hey, you're forced. We're forcing you to come to this new land. We're forcing you to work in an area where not only we're not going to pay you, but we are actually going to qualify you as property for several decades, if not centuries, and then ultimately, um, put you at a very big disadvantage that you're having to come from behind and really work twice as hard, if not harder, to even get back to equal of things." So again, that is why again it's stories like that. You might notice that there's a very big place in my heart for um, African American, especially because of that subject, that specific point that I just made. Because also um, another reason why I care is that same thing happened by the British. I'm not pointing out anything with the British, but that same thing happened with my grandma's country many years ago with Wales. Wales was part of the British Empire that was suppressed by the British. The Irish and the Scottish were very much the same. So this this might be a little bit more why this cause is a little bit closer to my heart than some of the other topics that we will also get into. This is why we're covering this first. That we'll get into as we endeavor together, just endeavoring for equality. Because again, it's my goal to live my finest hour, help others live their finest hour, and I believe that we can do that with generated some compassion for all the different things that we're up against. It's hard enough to face your inner demons, let alone if you have these outside circumstances coming against you, some of which you have no control over. But as we can unite, as we can work together, there is some greater opportunities. And again, I invite you as you're walking out this week. To see how you might be more welcoming to if you're um, if you're in a neighborhood, you can be more welcoming to your neighbors, somebody coming new into the field, seeing how you can generate more compassion for them, or get curious about how you can be of service in a equal fashion to help all of us have the chance to live fairly the life that we absolutely love living. So have a wonderful week, everybody, and I thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and subscribe below when you can. And 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. 12:34 p.m. Pacific time every Sunday. Join us for the new set of videos. So next week. We are actually talking about a topic called next week's title. I'll reveal it here. Is equal opportunity orgasms. So we are talking about, hey, do men and women deserve the right to have equal chances at having sexual pleasure? Again, thought-provoking titles here, like we said. And I'll say that there are some in the world that do not believe that men and women should be equal in this place, and so we'll unpack that next week. And until then, have a wonderful week, everybody. Generating compassion for yourself, for the journey you're going through, the hero's journey you're going through, and the hero's journey of everyone you encounter every day in every way. So thank you, and see you soon.